We have this to-do list. We want to gamify this a little bit, grab a random task and put it in C2. Use rand to get a random number times by the number of things here, which is 10, and round this. We're not going to get the task. We're just going to get a bare number. Use index and reference C5 colon C15. Row is going to be this round rand times 10. But this 10 might change. Maybe we insert more items to do count C15. And now we get inbox 0. But once we click that, it's going to come back. So what we need to do is one more step. We need to filter C5 to C15 where B5 colon B15 equals false. Because boxes are a visual representation of true or false. Take our filter and count the remaining ones in the filter. Now we should not get any that are repeated, and as we check off, we'll get less and less options. The cool thing here is that every time we check off, it gives us another random task to do. Create a road trip packing list. As we check things off, our car gets closer and closer to our destination. I'm going to show you how to create this. We're going to use concatenate, repeat, and count if. Let's start use concatenate. First things first is we want a destination. Do control command spacebar. We'll put a mountain in quotes, REPT. Count if is going to be B5 colon B for the entire checkbox range. We're going to count all of the trues. What are we going to repeat? The backwards arrow. Blue car in quotes. We'll repeat exactly the same arrow. And how many times we'll do count if B and count the falses. I made an error here. We need to do false first because that's what we want to minimize, and we want to increase the true. Here our car will move from right to left, and that's how we're creating a habit tracker, and we want to create that viral progress bar up here. If we are doing daily habits, tracking them with some checkboxes, we can add a progress bar. The trick here is to use SPARKLINE formula. We're going to do equals SPARKLINE. SPARKLINE needs some data. The data is going to be a count if of B5 colon. Make sure our count if is actually counting all the trues here. Now the options, this is where it gets tricky. We're going to have to do curly brackets here. We want to first name our chart type. Our chart type is going to be a column chart because we want a vertical column, semicolon, and then we set a Y max. And our Y max is going to be, in this case, 31 because we have 31 days. We also need a Y min. Our Y min is going to be 0. Now we have a bar chart. If we want to change the color, green, let's say, or yellow, or purple. And now we can copy paste this all the way across. Don't do this equals, because it's not going to work. You can't put an equal sign. You can put quotation equals, but we don't want to do this manually. We want to do this automatically. So what we can do is equals if this is equal to this, then if it's true, we'll put an equal sign. If it's false, if this is greater than D3, and if that value is true, we'll put a greater sign. If it's false, we'll do another if, and we'll do B3 is less than D3, and if that's true, we'll put a less than. We'll finish up all these quotes, and now we do this automatically for all of these. You don't have to copy and paste in order to filter your list. In order to do this, we can just enter a formula equals filter. Select your range you want to filter. The condition is going to be the header here equals and select the range where your header is. We hit enter, but that's not all. If we copy paste, we get an NA. What we need to do is go into our filter and lock with a $sign, not the B15, but B and B here. Lock those, now copy and paste. Now we have dynamically filtered data.
How would you count to 1 million in Google Sheets? You might start like 1, 2, 3, drag it down and make 1 million rows. You can't make 1 million rows. So you're going to have 26 million cells. That's past the limit. You need to delete the columns. Drag this down to 1 million. That's going to take a while. We could do equals row. That gives us the row number. All we need to do is paste this down to 1 million. Let's see if we can do it in one formula. Sequence. How many rows? Let's do 1. That's 1 million. Start 1, step 1. What we're going to get is an error sequence parameter. We need 1 column. Please insert more rows. Automatically, it has 50,000 rows. Can we add more? Let's see if we can add another 100,000. We need now 9,500 more rows. 95. There we go. Now it's calculating. There it is. Counting to 1 million in Google Sheets. Randomize a to-do list. Every time we check off a to-do item, a new one shows up. That's a random one that hasn't been checked off yet. How do we do this? I'll show you how. Use index. Inside of index, we're going to use filter. Filter C5 to C15, only showing the falses, meaning the unchecked boxes. B5 colon B15 equals false. For the row of the index, rand, we get a random number times, we need the number of items in the list. Let's count all, filter C5 colon C15, filter by B5 colon B15 equals false. And now we created a checklist that can change per every single weekday. Let me show you how to do this. First off, we are going to delete our entire checklist over here. Created a checklist for each day, and we need to insert it into our checklist here. We have a drop-down menu with each day of the week, and we want to match the day of the week with the column here. So the first thing we're going to do is equal match. Search key is going to be C2, B2. We want to use a absolute reference. We're going to use E4 colon I4 and search type 0. So it'll look along E2, I2, and 0 search type. So it'll find an exact match. In the case of Monday, it'll be the first column. Then we want to take the index of E4 colon E14, and we need to find the first row because we're in the first row here. The output of the match is going to be the column we're looking at. But this row, we want to actually move as it goes down from 4 to 14. So we're going to do row minus 3. This gets us the exact row for the first item. Don't need E4, we need E4 to I14, and we're going to lock this as we copy paste down. We don't want this to change. We also don't want the E to change, so we'll put some $signs there. And now we can auto fill, and each one of these is exactly the same for Monday. And if we change it to Tuesday, it's changed. Let's make a self-grading test. We have our questions and our answers, the actual answers over here in column E. These could be hidden with the same color for the text in the background, or you can put them on another sheet. But once we put an answer here like 8, we want this to say thumbs up, good job. And if they did something else, we want it to say something else. We're going to do the if function. Our logical expression is going to be C3 equals 3. And this E3 could be anywhere where the actual answer is. Now, if it's true, meaning those are correct, those are the same things, we're going to put a little thumbs up. If it is not true, if it's false, maybe we put a little hand, pray for us. And it's like, oh no, we did not get that correct. But if we did get it correct, oh yeah, we get a thumbs up. But what happens if it's blank? We don't want this saying false. So we're going to wrap this with if is blank. Use C3 again and do 2 commas there. And now if it's blank, there's nothing. If we put an answer here, we go, oh, pray for us. We need to get a better answer. If we get the correct answer, yay, thumbs up. We got the correct answer. We can copy that all the way down. And now we have self-grading questions.
Every checklist you've ever seen has looked like this with a header at the top and checklists under it. Let's put that to the side. I'll show you how to do that in a nice way. Insert a column to the left, all these checkboxes, delete them, and then merge all of these cells. Right, Monday, that doesn't fit, right? Go to text rotation, rotate this up, change the size, delete this row. Do Tuesday, copy again, Wednesday. Is a really fun way to differentiate your checklist.
If you want to get follower counts from TikTok URLs, I'm going to show you how to do it really easily. You might see someone else do something like this. Try to copy, paste that into here. This is so much easier. Let's delete that. Go to our TikTok URL, right click, inspect over on the right side here, right click, copy full XPath. Go back to our sheet equals import XML. For URL, we're going to use C3, which is the URL we already have. The XPath, we're going to put in quotes what we just copied, and now it'll be loading, and we'll get the exact count. Copy, paste down. We'll get the follower count for every single account we have here with the URL. So you have a to-do list here, and you want to add a date at which you did that to-do item, just like this. Check and have a date show up here. I'll show you how to do that. We're going to go up to extensions, app script. First thing we're going to do is use the edit function. We're going to use an event here. This event will be anytime there's an edit. I'm going to do variable range is the range. We want to get that row, so range.get column of the edit event is going to be range.get column. We also need to know what sheet we're on, so we're going to use sheet equals range.source.get active sheet. We want to know the sheet name, sheet.get name. Now we want to make sure that we only create the timestamp whenever something is checked off in the checkbox column. I'm going to create this if here. Make sure the sheet name is equal to timestamp. You might have a different name in this, maybe to-do list or sheet 1. We also want an row to be greater than 1, and we want the column to be equal to the second column. Once that happens, we want to get the variable active sheet. I want to make sure that this is a timesheet, get sheet by name. I'm going to grab that timestamp sheet, make sure that we have this timesheet.getRange so we have the correct row. From up here, we're going to edit the fourth column, and we're only going to edit one cell and take this time range, and we're going to set value, new date, Command S this. We're editing the B column, adding the checkbox here. Make sure our event is actually here. And now we can check off the done task. Messed up a little bit here. This range is supposed to be event source get active sheet. Going to save the project. And now when we select the done task, our date will show up here in the fourth column, the D column.
What if we wanted a checkbox here that turned this into a dark mode? All we need is conditional formatting for this. So we just need to enter a checkbox. We're going to select the entire sheet, and then we're going to go up to format, conditional formatting. Over in our conditional formatting, we're going to apply to the entire range. We're going to change our background to black, our text to white, and our formatting rules, we're going to change this to a custom formula equals true. And then we're going to change the A1 to $A $1. Click done. And now when we click our checkbox, it changes to a dark mode or a dark background with light text. Create a drop-down menu with star ratings from 1 to 5. We want to convert this into a number. Can we find an average? Can we report this? You might enter by looking at it, counting 3. We cannot use count, or if there's no counting of stars here. There's a much easier way to do this, but we have to do one thing beforehand. To count the stars, we set up a VLOOKUP. We're going to call it VLOOKUP here. 3 stars, 5 stars. On the second column, we're going to put the number. We can put this VLOOKUP somewhere else, maybe on another tab. The search key is going to be this C3. What's our range? Wherever this VLOOKUP is, wherever you put it, our index is going to be 2 because we want to look up the second column. Is it sorted? I always put false. And now we have our rating. What we could do is if we put a $sign in front of the B and the 14, in front of the C and the 8, we could click and drag this or copy and paste it all the way down. If we change our rating here to 4 stars, rating here is 4. Now we can get an average of all of these. This is pretty cool way to count how many stars we have.